Hey, Tony Gaskins here, popping in. Now, listen to me. Want you to understand something. Now, there's something that grown boys do not want you to know, and it's this the thing. This what you got to realize is when I give you this here game, I'm giving you game that it's gonna sustain you with any man that you meet. And the reason why I get this game away is because what so many punks call the man code and the man law that we created when we were punks, what they call that is destructive. The man law, the man code, is destructive to the family unit. It's destructive to society. It does not help us. It does not benefit us. And this the thing that is the issue that a lot of us don't realize and understand. And that's why I'm giving you this here game. But the thing about it is most women do not want to listen to this because it's not comfortable. It's not easy. One thing I want you to realize is that when you're in a relationship, the person who cares the least has the most power. And typically in those situations, it's the man who cares the least. And when I say cares the least, I don't mean that you should not care, that you should not love, that you should not have your heart in it. What I really mean by that is you should not be overly reactive to situations. Essentially, you have to have emotional intelligence. So the person who speaks the least has the most power. The person who cares the least has the most power. The person who reacts the least has the most power. You heard the saying before that says the loudest in the room is the weakest in the room. When you hear that and you understand that, that's what that's talking about. It's talking about you being weak. It's talking about you not having emotional intelligence. So as a woman, you have to realize that you have the right to set your standards. And these standards are very important because what a woman with her head on her shoulders, what a woman can be is a woman is like a stabilizer. A woman is like the backbone. So a woman with her head on right, she stabilizes the children. She stabilizes the household. She stabilizes the world. She stabilizes the country. And I'll give you a quick example. Like we come in from a long day. We really didn't do much, but we had been outside and we had been moving around. And it probably was like midnight, 11 o'clock at night. And we tired and we had went out to eat. We had went to the mall. And then my wife told our 9-year-old, hey, go take a shower. And had that been me, just as a man, being that time of night, he didn't sweat at all day. He 9 years old. I wouldn't have made him take a shower at near about midnight. But my wife, knowing her standards, knowing cleanliness is next to godliness, she said, hey, go take a shower. And then if he take a shower and he come out and it look like he really ain't take no shower, she make him go take another shower. If she tell him go brush his teeth and he come back and his tongue ain't all the way pink, she make him go brush his teeth again. And that's what I mean by a stabilizer. A woman with her head on right has standards. She has a vision. She has a plan. And the thing what a grown boy fears the most is a woman with a vision and with a plan and with standards. So if a woman says that, hey, I'm not having sex, I'm not ready to have sex, I ain't having no sex, the grown boy fears that the woman will know that he'll actually wait on her. So he will pull out every stop and he will try to say, I can't do this. This isn't going to work. This, and this, that, and the third. But then he'll still be trying to meet up, still be trying to talk. And it's like, hold on, I thought you said that you can't do it. I thought you said this ain't going to work. Why are you trying to meet up if you said it ain't going to work? It's because he knows 100% he will wait. But the goal is to convince the woman that he won't wait. The goal is to convince the woman that it's over. I'm done with you. You want to do that? We done already been there. We done did this before. You want to do that? I'm done with you. And he's lying. Because deep down, what the grown boy wants is he wants to be a grown man one day. And what the grown boy wants is a grown woman. So what that means is he actually wants a woman that knows who she is, that will stand on what she says she stands on, and that will be different and rare from other women. But the irony in this is a man will accept what you give him. So if you allow a boy or a man to be less than a man, then he will be less than a man. So if you give a man sex on the first night, he will take it, even though he doesn't necessarily want it, nor does he need it. He definitely don't need it, but nor does he even want it, but he will take it. If you will allow a man to put hands on you, he'll put hands on you. If you allow him, if not put hands on you, yell at you, curse at you, talk down to you, whatever you allow, he will oblige. And that's just human nature. Human, even like when you look at sports, a lot of times people play to the level that they're competing against. Like if my son is playing against good people, he plays way better. If he playing against sorry people, he looks sorry. That's just human nature. And I know in a woman's mind, a lot of women have this fairy tale that, oh, a good man will never do this. A good man will never do that. A man is who you make him be. So I'm here because God, life, and my wife made me be this man. If God, life, and my wife did not teach me lessons and send me signs and chastise me in a way, I would gladly be doing fraud right now. Like fraud is booming right now. Even with the PPP fraud, I want me some of that. That ERC fraud, I want me some of that. It's another new kind of fraud now. I want me some of that. I love some of that free money, some of that easy money that a lot of people not getting caught for. But life has shown me otherwise. So I am the man that I want to be. Not necessarily that I have to be. Not necessarily because I want to be, but it's because I have to be. Because life has shown me that if I take shortcuts, I get cut short. When I remember, I was a drug dealer. And what happened? I got robbed, lost everything, stole my car, shot up my car. That showed me that it's a dangerous game out here and you're going to have to pay a price. I got stopped by the police, had the stuff on me. Fortunately, he didn't have a dog that was sniffing that day. I would have went to prison. So life has shown me that if I take shortcuts, I will get cut short. And that's why I grew into who I am today. And that's what I want women to understand, because so many women talking about, oh, I don't want a project. What I need you to understand is you are a project. And I'm going to repeat that. You are a project. You're not perfect. You coming with daddy issues. You coming with mommy issues. Stuff that you don't even realize. Like having a job and a car and a house doesn't make you not a project. Thinking you are healed, but not knowing if you're truly healed until you put in an intense situation in a relationship doesn't make you not a project. Every human being is a project. My wife and I are going on 17 years of marriage, and she is still a project, and I am still a project. Even right now, like I'm going to Europe Friday, and I decided yesterday, she cannot stand that. When I make a decision and I choose something like that and I'm ready to go, and I got to make this move and I'm doing this for my son, and she want me to rationalize and think through it and all that, I'm still a project because I'm making a spontaneous decision in the Christmas season. but I'm doing what I want to do for my son because I know what it's like to have a dream as a man and not be able to have the opportunity to pursue it. He want to play soccer in Europe. And so we going to look at an academy, and then his favorite team is in Europe. So we going to their game, and God has blessed me and I'm able to do it. So I'm going to do it because as a man and as a father, I know what he's going to feel. And this is our only break right now until March. So we got to take it. And me and him had a flight credit already. But what I asked my wife is, do you want to go? Do you and Tatum want to go? And she kind of like will say 2 words and she'll walk on out the room. She'll be like, listen, I just want you to think about it. It's Christmas time. It's going to cost X amount of thousand. And, you know, you got some money right now and you know how money come and go. So I want you to think about it. And I told her, I said, listen, we good. We good. Like, I got money in several different accounts. We good. Like, you looking at this account right here, that's an expense account. So, but I got money in other accounts. That ain't our only account. So I just talked to her like that. But she is not really a communicator. She's not the type that's going to like sit down and like talk through stuff. And there's some women that's like that. I have clients that say they like to communicate. They like to talk. My wife more so communicate like what women say men communicate like. And I more so communicate by like a woman. And that's because I grew up with a communicator. My dad is a communicator. He was a big talker. So he would talk a lot. And my mom, she's not necessarily a communicator, but she talk a lot. And she'll get with you. My wife grew up with her mom, single mom, who is very tough as nails, don't say too much, cry in the dark. Very, very masculine. Only thing feminine is how she dressed, but other than that, it's very masculine. So that right there, my wife is still a project in that area of communication. I'm still a project in my decision making. We going on 17 years of marriage. So that's why I want you to realize and understand, and I need people to clarify that and stop letting social media tell you that you building a man just because he's not perfect. Stop letting social media tell you that this man is a project or that you're dating potential. That is every single human being. No human being is 100% of who we can become when we get into a relationship. No human being is 100% healed. No human being is 100% ready for marriage. No human being is 100% perfect. Every human being, you are dating potential. But what you have to understand is the difference between potential and production. Potential is who someone can become. Production is who someone is actively working to become. So if someone is working on themselves, if this man is working on his attitude, working on his mindset, working on these things, then that is no longer just potential. Now that is production. But if the man is not producing or the woman is not producing, now you're not dating potential. Now you're dating complacency. And that is a difference. So there's a lot of bitter people online who are letting their ex dictate the rest of their life. I seen somebody post and it was asking like a woman, like if you're making 6 figures, going on 7 figures, and you met a man and he's a great man, like a good man, a man of character, but he makes 60,000, will you date him? The first comment I seen was a lady saying no, she tried that and the man became resentful and all of this. Right there lets me see that humans, that adults cannot read and comprehend, because the post clearly said a man of character, a good man. So that man is not going to be resentful and jealous and in competition if he is a man of character and a good Man. And then I seen another comment who said, that was my husband, my late husband. He was the greatest thing that happened in my life. And that's what it looks like when a man is a man of character. But we have a lot of bitter, unhealed women who are going online and spewing these narratives from their last relationship that was with a bum. And they're confusing a man of character with just a regular man. And they're thinking that all men are the same. And just because your bum X exhibited this behavior, that the next man is going to exhibit that same behavior. And that's not the case if the next man is built and wired and taught differently. And so this is what has to be understood. So when you meet a grown boy, you have to understand that whether he becomes a grown boy, remains a grown boy, or becomes a grown man, has a lot to do with you as a woman. So if he's unwilling to grow, unwilling to change, then you have to remove yourself. And by removing yourself, that may push him into becoming a grown man and showing himself approved for your presence. If he's unwilling, then he will move on still with the lesson. And then if the next woman comes and she is on what you were on, then he will do right by her. That's the way of life. And that's why women say, why does he give the next woman everything that I wanted? It's because you stood on business and he was trying to bluff you, and you called his bluff to the point that you left him, and he thought there was no way in the world that you would leave. So the next woman who stands on what you stand on, and some of the times the next woman doesn't stand on what you stand on, but he gives her everything out of spite for you. And when you really study those relationships, sometimes it's still terrible and toxic, but Facebook will show that he's giving her everything you wanted, and he's doing that because he knows you see it. Now, when he actually changes and he grows, then that just means he wasn't for you. Your personality type and who you were wasn't for him. But this other personality type, it is for him. But what you have to understand, the same thing that you think you lost out on is the same thing that you're going to benefit from. Because by you walking away from a grown boy who is unwilling to grow and change, you open yourself up and position yourself for a grown man who he has already made his mistakes with his ex, and now he's coming with a mind and a heart that's ready to grow and change. And so now he can do that with you. So that's what you have to understand here. And by looking at it like this and knowing that the key that you need to walk away with from this video is to set your standards. Know your standards, whatever that may be. Now, understand that standards are not preferences. And I created this concept. You'll hear people try to change the word around. One lady called it standards and priorities. Standards and preferences. A standard is a priority. A preference is something that it's neither here nor there. A preference is something that could be compromised. So a standard is, I'm not having sex until I'm ready to have sex because my body and my spirit is on the line. That's a standard. A standard is, I am a Christian. That's a standard. A standard are foundational things that you build your life upon. Those are standards. A preference is height, weight, skin complexion, teeth, nose, how much money someone makes. Those are preferences. Those things are not foundational. Those things have no bearing on life or death, eternity in salvation or damnation. Those things are compromisable. So they're negotiable. A standard is non-negotiable. What do you believe and what do you stand on that you refuse to negotiate? When you set that in stone, any man that you meet who is ready to become a man or capable of becoming a man, if you are the match for him, he will grow into that man. He will become that man. And that's what you have to know and understand. Most women do not believe that they are worthy. Most women, and somebody commented that on the video, most women do not believe that a man will listen to them. Most women do not believe that a man will compromise his preferences or sacrifice or crucify his flesh, die out to himself for the love of her. Most women don't believe that. Women give men so much power, so much credit that we did not earn and that oftentimes we do not deserve. So many women come to me with the simplest question like, how do I tell him this? And I'm like, you just tell him. Just sit down and tell him. Just say, hey, I need to tell you something. And then you tell him. You're not talking to God. This is a man. What do you mean? How do you tell him? Like, do you want to fill out a permission slip? Do you want to put in a paper asking him for his presence and his time and listening ear? Like, this is a man. This is not God. You just tell him. But most women worship the ground men walk on. And men find that out. Grown boys find that out and abuse it. And not knowing, these women not knowing that this grown boy would actually jump through hoops for her. He actually would go to the end of the earth for her if she knew her worth. And you got to think of this analogy like in the workplace. If you go to the workplace and for this job, the pay is 100,000, 90,000. The pay is 90,000. And you know that this job's pay is 90,000. But you want this job so bad. You go and you say, you know, and they say, well, what would you like to be paid? You say 45,000. They're not going to say, okay, 45, thank you so much for being so generous, but this job pays 90, so we're going to pay you 90. They're going to say, okay, thank you so much. You got it. We'll honor your request. And then they're going to hire a second you who is just as insecure and doesn't know her value. And they will have two people. So they'll have double the output for $90,000. So now they're getting $180,000 worth of work done for $90K. The same applies when a woman goes into the life of a man and this man is willing to give her 100, but she accepts 50, meaning, when I say accepts 50, meaning having sex with him when he wants to have sex, when he's ready to have sex and she's not ready. Allowing him to call every other day, allowing him to do no dates, just do in the home dates, allowing him not to initiate contact, allowing him to go ghost, to do silent treatments. So the woman is worth 100% effort, but she is accepting his 50% effort. He's not going to say, hey, I've been giving you 50, but you're worth 100, so I'm going to give you 100. He's going to say, you've been accepting 50, so I'm going to get 2 of you. And so the woman who makes all these concessions and thinks that she's being likable and thinks that she's being a good woman by putting up with all of this stuff that is against her standards and what she knows she deserves, she doesn't end up being appreciated. She ends up getting dogged out. She ends up being cheated on. And then she looks in the mirror and she's like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I put up with this, and he still cheated on me. So Tony, that doesn't work. It doesn't, this and this doesn't work. And it's like, no, you played the fool. You played the dummy. That's why he didn't change. That's why he didn't grow, because you didn't stand on anything. You didn't have any standards. You didn't have any policies and procedures. You didn't have rules and regulations. You didn't stand on anything. So that's why he was able to move on. So this is what you have to realize and understand. So when you take and you look at this thing and you start to identify your standards, and the thing about it is your standards, what you will and won't tolerate, your non-negotiables, these things should be written upon the tables of your heart. In order for them to be written upon the tables of your heart, you first have to write them down on a piece of paper. So you got to write them down in your journal, your notebook, and you got to read them over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And then you got to identify what that looks like on a date, what it looks like in a relationship. You got to have your escape plan, your plan of exit. So if you say, I refuse to be yelled at or cursed at, well, you also got to create, okay, what are you going to say or do when he yells at you or curses at you? You have to role play in the mirror by yourself so that when it happens, you know how to handle it. And that's honestly me being a grown boy. I tried everything with my wife. Like I tried to sleep with her on the first night. She shut me down. Tried to sleep with her when I wanted to. She shut me down. Tried to yell at her. She checked me right then. Tried to tell her, I'm going to call you at 9. Don't call her. Call her later. She checked me right then. Everything that I tried to do as a grown boy to see if this beautiful woman would accept it, she shut it down and she let me know right up front, out the gate, hey, do not do that again. Don't try me like that again. So she let me know out the gate. Now, guess what? I got the woman who had been hurt by another grown boy. So she came to me stronger with more standards. And so now I got the better version of the woman. I was coming to her as a grown boy who all of my grown boy behavior in my previous relationship, which was 2 years long, all of my grown boy behavior had been reinforced. So I would go off the handle with my ex and she would come make love to me. She reinforced my grown boy behavior. When I was selling drugs with my ex, she was kikiing and laughing and thought it was cool and bigging me up. When I tried that with my wife, she said, I refuse to be with a dope boy. And so everything that I tried with my wife, she shut it down. And so that let me know, I said, okay, this woman different. This woman different. This woman rare. This woman special. Because every other woman have let me go do what I want to do. Not the ex right before my wife, but the ex before that, I had masked up and gloved up to go rob a store. And she let me leave the house. She let me leave the dorm room to go rob the store. And she was like, just be careful. My wife today, she would have been like, what? You finna do what? Well, don't come back here. Don't ever talk to me again. I don't deal with no criminals. Don't ever talk to me again. If you leave, do not come back. She would have did that. But see, so many women reinforce grown boy behavior and then be mad and be butthurt and then be taking it out on every other man, taking it out on a good man when you had the chance to speak up and to say what you will and won't tolerate, and then you would have seen how this man changed. And if he wouldn't have changed, then you would have lost him, but it would have been so early on, your heart wouldn't even really been in it that much. So yes, it would have stung your ego a little bit, but you would have got over it. And then you go to the next relationship on the same energy, with the same love and self-respect. And then that next man, he does differently. And now now you got your husband. So I don't post this stuff. I don't bring people on interviews, but every week, sometimes multiple times a week, women write me and say, Tony, you was my coach and I'm getting married. Tony, you told me how to deal with a man, and now I'm getting married. Thank you. In the midst of nobody getting married, in the midst of everything looking crazy, I'm getting testimonials all the time of women saying, Tony, I'm getting married. I don't even respond to most of them just because I just ain't got the time, but it's showing me I know what I'm talking about because I was the absolute worst. So I'm teaching you how to deal with the absolute worst. And I want you to understand, do you see what I'm doing with my life today? The absolute worst can become one of the best. And that power is also in the hands of women. God will use a woman to reach a man. The same way, that's why the devil uses a woman to reach a man. But you got to determine and you got to decide who you're going to be. Are you going to lay down in fear of losing this man and letting him do what he want to do because you're afraid you're going to be single and lonely? You're afraid he's going to leave you? Or are you going to speak up and stand on what you believe, stand on what you want, need, and deserve to see if he's man enough to grow? That's what you got to do. But hey, this Tony Gaskins, God bless you. I'm going to keep these messages coming. Get your notebook out. Get your mind right, because we coming with it. God bless you. We'll talk soon.